Today on Rebooked.
We can fantasy book it all we want, but like I'm just gonna sit and wait to hear what the man himself has to say. And what, you can't take a little bump? I mean, you're basically Colombian anyway, right?
Wait, what? But if he's your hype man, he needs to hype you up. He just sat there awkwardly in the corner like the guy at the orgy who wasn't invited. Like, and is just watching everything go down. It's just like,
hey, they've got a great buffet.
Welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and the women who be slapping the meat in the middle of the squared circle, the stories they tell, the process, brother. I'm GB, you got Matt, you got Jake. I'm back from Thailand.
That intro brought to you by jet lag.
Jet lag and a whole lot of coffee, baby. We're apologies for the show coming out late. I just came back from the other side of the world. And I was very tired yesterday, and I thought that I was going to be able to fight the jet lag. And it turns out when you're 37 years old and you've been traveling for a majority of your life, the jet lag beats you. So
look, I don't know what the excuse is here. You live in LA, you went to Thailand. It's only one ocean.
Okay.
And when you really think about it, it's just one. It's just one body of water.
And what, you can't take a little bump? I mean, you're basically Colombian anyway, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, right. Famous Colombian Alex Mendez can take all the bumps. Look, I will say this much. I just thought that my body was stronger than this. And then I look online and I see, I go to this young whippersnappers page, one Matt Raywalt over here, who's posting pictures of himself fucking doing swanton bombs and elbow drops from the top rope, looking like a damn savant with his hair flowing in the air. Okay. So you know what, Matt, we all can be built like a brick truck. Okay. And I don't even know what a brick truck is. All right.
Years ago, I can't do it like that no more. I'll tell you that much. And I've never done an elbow drop from the top rope.
That photo looked
that.
Why? That photo looked like it looked like someone dropping into Fortnite. That's what it looked like.
Yes, I have a fantastic arch on my swanton. I will claim that.
Question though, why don't you want to drop an elbow drop?
Because they suck.
They suck because of bad for your shoulder when they land.
I can't time them well because my front flip, my body understands it perfect. It's like it sees the matrix. I know the timing is perfect. I can swan dive, turn at the last minute. I can extend and look all really cool. Elbow drop, I turn into grandpa going off the high dive, and it's like, wow. My feet want to touch first, all your body's natural ways of this is not how I'm supposed to be falling. Go into effect when I go to do. Standing on the ground, I can do it.
But you got to commit, right?
And it gets so ugly looking if you don't commit to I'm basically going to jump and just take a back bump off the top rope.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your body will take over and your feet hit first, and it's kind of like this weird, awkward thing, and then it never looks great. And Eric Young. Again, shout out TNA. You watch him, that guy, he's been wrestling for 400 years and he still does a perfect elbow drop.
Probably one of my favorite wrestlers to watch live.
He's so
we learned at Rebellion. It was just that dude's a god, man. Unbelievable. So look, the moral of the story here is GB is emotionally and mentally exhausted and physically exhausted, and Matt is built like an Adonis but does not commit to an elbow drop, and Jake's just beautiful. So that's basically the moral of the story. End of the show.
Like that big red mascot, that big red blob for Western Kentucky.
Oh yeah, we've talked about it on this show.
That's how I'm built like that. I'm built like Grimace.
Yes, honestly though, Grimace is a
body
wrestler.
By Grimace.
Grimace is a wrestler, kind of goes hard. That's all I'm saying. Good luck trying to pick up Grimace.
Yeah, it's called King Mabel.
Yeah.
It's already been done.
Go ahead and move on and talk about that's a good reference, by the way, and talk about Elimination Chamber. This past weekend, excuse me. We were watching it. It was crazy. I'm just gonna let
Anything
you guys.
happen?
Yeah.
Right. Anything big?
So before we get into the big thing that happened, I want to mostly just talk about overall reactions to the event. I don't imagine we're going to be spending much time on this because I think we all kind of feel the same way, but it's just an opportunity for us to say how we feel because we haven't had a chance to yet outside of the live stream that we did, which, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to check out the VOD or any of the clips from that, you should.
Yes, we're going to try. I had a really good time doing that. So even if it is just me, but I want to look into doing more of those for big pay-per-views. So if that's something you guys want as well, it seemed to go over pretty well with our current audience. So if you want to see more of those, as usual, comment in the Discord, comment down below. Let us know if that's something, because I was thinking about doing some more specific stream graphics and interactive things that we could potentially do. So starting to get the brain going on that.
Yeah. It's fun. It's definitely fun. It's a, when I did it before, I forget which event that I did it for. And I had a good time, like I did I think it was like the post stream or something like that. But in any case, super enjoyable. But yeah, anyway, guys, what do you think of Chamber? Because this was the best show that I think WWE has like put together. And they've put together some really good shows. Like last year, especially, and this year too, right? Not to take anything away from what we've had this year. So I don't know who wants to go first, but my consensus is they knocked this shit out of the park in a way that I was not prepared for them to do. I was going into this just expecting like, oh, it's gonna be a good show. And it turns out, no, Jake, we did not just get a good show. We got something that actually had like legitimate ramifications that like it echoed not just on the segment, but if you watch Monday Night Raw, it even echoed in individual segments as well. People in the show were talking about John Cena's heel turn as like a pivotal point, as like a nexus event, as I like to say. So yeah, what do you think of it, man?
Look, when Triple H tweeted that it was going to be an industry-changing night, I thought it was hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it kind of was.
Mans wasn't wrong.
I mean,
Mans wasn't wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a night that will live in infamy. I mean, it was a blast. The show was great. I mean, top to bottom, like we all know what's going to get the majority of discussion here, but the women's chamber was awesome.
Yes.
It was really good.
Yes.
Liv Morgan showed out. I thought that she was tremendous and shows how much she's grown as a in-ring performer. I thought she was fantastic. She took some crazy bumps. The incident before the women's chamber.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. Like there were so many holy shit moments in this chamber. It was great. The women's tag match was a lot of fun. That was exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn gave us exactly what we were hoping for. Randy Orton came back. I mean, like so much happened that is getting lost in the mix because of how the show ended.
Yeah.
Like that's how monumental this show was. Like it was fantastic.
Turns out
fantastic.
Triple H not a fraud.
No. Yeah. When you turn on a pay-per-view, like that's what you're hoping to see is what we got on Saturday. It was a fantastic show. I mean, the Elimination Chamber has always kind of been a hit or miss pay-per-view for me, and even a hit or miss match. I mean, honestly, to me, until this point, the most memorable Elimination Chamber match for me was in 2012 when Matt's kayfabe boss damn near beat Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought that match was so much fun. He kept pinning people. It was just down to him and Bryan. There were near falls. Well, I thought Santino Marella was going to be the next World Heavyweight Champion. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then that sack of shit Daniel Bryan.
Bastard.
I mean, yeah, terrible. Submitted him. I hate to see it.
That's what led to the 60-second Mania, right? That was the was that what led to that?
I think that was
because he won that belt and then went in the Mania with the belt, right? He won the World Heavyweight Championship in that.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Yeah. It's been a while, but yeah, honestly, man, yeah, you're like, I forgot about that. The monumental aspect of it that Triple H was talking about. I missed that part completely. And yeah, I mean, it lived up to it, Matt. It definitely did. And I think that, you know, like you can now say, oh, hey, I'm actually looking forward to Elimination Chamber next year. Right.
Yeah, potential. And what I think you can say, I'm looking forward to WrestleMania this year more than I was going into that show, which in your lead up to big shows like this, that's what you want. You want to get people more and more invested. And up to this point, I think we had some interesting matchups. That was the biggest thing going into this was like, oh, all right, you have a lot of potential opponents for Cody Rhodes. We've talked about the little bit of the lower amount of investment we have in like Jay and Gunther. Hopefully that can grow over the next month. But going into this, it was just kind of like, oh, CM Punk would be an interesting opponent. John Cena would be. Those seem to be the top contenders. But then there's Drew, of course, always. But they were all just like solid contenders, but without any like in the moment right now, deep-rooted story. So like you weren't sure where it was going to go. And then they just strapped a rocket with a knife in its back and plutonium strapped underneath in it at the end. So it was good on them. When The Rock initially came back weeks ago, there was a big feeling, and to a degree still kind of is, of like, all right, we ran what was it? What do they call it? The Rubicon, the Gambit. We did it last year. Like, that was an accident because of the pivot. Let's manufacture that, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I think technically what it is, they planned this out to do something big. And it's good. So far, based on reaction, it's working. I'm curious to see how and if it'll develop. We don't see Cena for another almost 2 weeks as of the airing of this episode.
Yeah.
He's away still doing things. So is The Rock. So I'll be very curious what the follow-up is, what that first big promo is. So
yeah.
But I mean, they delivered. It was a monumental moment.
All right. Well, let's.
I have a complete side note before we continue.
Go for it.
No, it's not complete side note. It is related. I was just trying to bring up because I was double checking that I was correct about it being 2012 with Santino and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, in Germany, this pay-per-view is known as No Escape. And
that happens.
I will let you figure out why.
Yeah. Not the most graceful.
Didn't know that.
Not the most graceful terminologies. I had heard about that as well. I
since 2013, it's been known as No Escape.
Yeah,
in German.
There really is no other way to put it other than it's not the best of phrasings on the name of an event.
I mean, but that happens with translation. I believe the Hell in a Cell event. Sometime in certain cultures and languages, they don't want to talk about hell. They're a little bit more of a whatever. In random country, you'd be so surprised at like where it gets changed to like.
Oh sure.
Yeah,
big cage time.
Yeah,
for sure. It's more of a.
You don't want the words
safe.
Elimination Chamber to be hung on a poster in Germany.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all about. I think it's all about just being safe. I totally understand.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Of course, move on to our next topic here. Which, I mean, come on.
Our main topic.
There is another big topic that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but we'll spend the time covering this one as it needs because holy shit. This was awesome. I am going to say my criticisms first so that this way it's just out there and then I could just move past it so I can focus on the good. As we all know, and in the reel that we put out there, I was very judgmental of Travis Scott being in the segment. I still stand by that. I genuinely believe that my guy missed rehearsal and did not understand what his role was going to be in the moment in time because he seemed to be completely out of sync with everyone else in that ring. and it threw me off from a fan of a good show. That being said, now I understand why Travis Scott was there. I understand what it was meant to symbolize and what it was meant to represent in regards to the final boss and why all that shit was happening. I just think sometimes a little cringe. Sometimes a little cringe.
WWE's got a weird hard on about using celebrities in spots that they don't.
Yeah.
Use.
Sometimes a little cringe.
Sometimes they nail it. Like we talked about, I show speed at the Rumble.
Yeah.
Sometimes they really do nail it.
Yeah. But this time was cringe. This time it was lame. This time I didn't fuck with it, and I don't think they fucked with it either. Which is why you don't really hear anyone mentioning it outside of like the picture that shows John Cena and then Travis Scott like in the background. But I
did see a video of a guy who was like, look, I haven't watched wrestling in years and I heard about this happening. So I came back to watch it and I have a lot of questions. And the first one is, can someone explain to me what the hell Travis Scott was doing?
Yeah. Like, again, it's just that. It's like, I don't understand why.
It's literally the three dragons meme, and one of them's got the goofy face. That's what it was.
And again, now narratively, I do want to be very clear here in that I understand why The Rock, why the final boss would have this very famous celebrity coming out with him as kind of like his hype man, because, hey, credit to The Rock. When you want to talk about nailing the look, my guy is nailing the look of like the asshole billionaire boss right now. He is nailing it. So it was cool, like in that regard.
But if he's your hype man, he needs to hype you up. He just sat there awkwardly in the corner like the guy at the orgy who wasn't invited. And is just watching everything go down. It's just like,
hey, they've got a great buffet. If you're at a good orgy, you got to get your nosh on,
that is a wild.
And then when you finally ask him to participate, even then it's awkward. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
It's like, come on, man, you've been watching us this whole time. Anyway,
the funny thing is, he is a hip hop superstar, a music superstar, right? Mm-hmm. Literally to justify it just a teeny bit. Again, as like, man, The Rock's got friends in high places, literally. And figuratively, and uses that to just uplift his ego, uplift his presentation, right? Just sell that aura as a hype man or something to that degree. Have Travis Scott come out like he did, but do an intro, do a Rusev Day for The Rock, if you will.
Right.
Have him come out and be like, whatever, hype up the crowd. If you want to give him a song, fine. But I think literally just have him cut a short promo of just like, my man, the biggest name or whatever. But maybe they didn't want to see.
And honestly, maybe they also didn't want to give him an open mic and then see what that'll happen, because it's very freaking clear that my guy didn't show up to rehearsal. So you don't really know. And look, I'm saying this because I have lived this. I have been in these instances in the past where I've worked with celebrities, where I've worked with rappers in particular who don't fucking show up to rehearsal. Okay, and they don't show
practice?
Up. They don't. They
talking about practice.
They ain't showing up. They ain't showing up for practice.
Not a game.
Yeah. Not a game.
Not a game.
Practice. So it's honestly like
that's not a match.
Not a match.
Rehearsal.
Not a promo. Rehearsal. Yeah, honestly, that was like the thing that really that fucked me up with the whole process or with the whole segment. But outside of that. And I think all three of us are kind of the same way, and I'm totally fine jumping on that sword because listen, I don't fuck with Travis Scott anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me much regardless. I'm sure he's a good artist, but it's just not my cup of tea. That being said, the overall segment, fellas, the overall consensus. Holy freaking crap, bro. Talk about nailing it. This was the modern day equivalent of Hogan hitting the leg drop on Savage. That's what this was, guys. Yeah, let's Jake, just go. Just talk about it.
Okay,
you got your platform.
Well, for starters, let's get one thing out of the way first. Okay. Now,
oh no. Now, for our audio listeners, Jake just put on a red hat conveniently, and it says, I called it. That is what he put on his head. I called it. We have to make this hat now.
Yeah.
Jake.
I want to be sure that we, give it the proper lighting that it needs here. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Go for it, Jake. The soapbox is yours.
I said this, after the Rumble, that Cena's promo seemed a little heelish. And I seem to recall somebody being, no, I wouldn't say adamant, but skeptical at best.
Was that me?
And who
yes.
I couldn't remember. And really quick.
But seriously,
you're right.
I mean, it was. It was also just me being a little like, but at the same time, I was like, no, it does seem heelish.
So, I think, really quick to your point though, which is I think is what was really well done by John, is like you're right, because on paper it was a little entitled. It was, the best for business phrase was in there, like you pointed out, all that stuff. But then the way John delivered it very sincerely, very grounded, and given his tenure, I think there's a very easy way to accept it as a fan, being like, yeah, okay, he can call his shot kind of thing.
Because you're like, it's his last.
Yeah.
We excused
ever
in
the ring.
But a little hint, you were absolutely right.
What I find so fascinating about this, Jake, is that it's really amazing how we as fans have changed in our perception and our acceptance of this, because the reality of the situation is that this is what Vince McMahon was doing for the John Cena character all throughout his entire run as the guy. And that doesn't take away from the fact that John Cena is the GOAT. We all have different times that we have appreciated John Cena for the craft and what he's done. But it really is telling that he went and did the thing that we judged him for, that we were mad at him for years, that kept guys like AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder, that kept these guys down the card, so to speak. And then John Cena just goes up and says, hey, man, I'm a tenured motherfucker. I better be in this bitch. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
And we're all like, of course, honestly,
John. But the thing is if it's any other wrestler with similar tenure, even I think you'd be on board then
for sure.
Yeah, okay,
I just think it's amazing that it was John Cena, the guy who we were always like, oh, lol, Cena wins. Oh my God. But we came into this with dude, lol, Cena wins. It better happen. Lol, Cena wins, And it did.
Yeah. And we cheered him for it.
And we cheered him for it. And there was this moment right here.
Watching it live, watching it happen in real time, not a replay, not hearing, whispers in the wind of I think something happened. I think John Cena might have, but watching it live and watching his face change in that photo right there, when he goes from that big smile that we all expect from John to it completely disappearing off his face, like a fucking cyborg.
Yeah.
Like
just a fucking cyborg.
Gone. No emotion. That's what was even kind of more frightening about it, is it wasn't even really an anger. It was almost emotionless.
Yeah.
That makes it even crazier to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at him in that photo. It's not anger. It's not disappointment. It's at the most disgust. Yeah. And that is even more extreme to me than an anger, or whatever. It's what's going to be interesting is to hear his justification for this, because this is this is so out of character for John Cena, the wrestler, that I'm very excited to see what the reasoning is. I'm very excited. It is the next time he is on television, it is appointment viewing.
Yeah.
without question. Like
Yes.
you got,
Go for
and
it,
not a, you got to sit and watch it live, man. Woo.
I can see,
Yeah.
I can see Matt just.
So no, there was just one thing I wanted to latch onto, but first, before we actually, can we all, in all the discourse, this event was so big that WWE, we haven't even talked about how live on WWE pay-per-view, Cody told The Rock to go fuck himself. Live on TV. Unbleeped if you watched it live. I don't know if they've edited it and replays. I'm sure they have, but I heard that they even put it out on socials uncensored. That gets lost in the sauce.
Yeah, it gets lost in the mix.
But to Jake's point, the look on John Cena's face in multiple of those photos, and I like this, and I hope this is purposeful in knowing John and the way they've been doing things. It is. It's not angry. It's not. I'm praying it's not all of a sudden classic wrestling. I decided to flip my character on the other side of the sheet. I'm black, sunglasses, leather jacket. I hate all of you. I've hated all of you all along. If it becomes anything like that, I will scream and throw something. But disgust is absolutely true. And not at Cody Rhodes, at himself.
Ooh.
Because it was something he had to do. He was so desperate to get this run in his last year, to get this opportunity. He sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah, I mean,
Maya Via. You know what I mean?
I'm curious what is the, not necessarily the justification, but like, how does he, because also too, like we're in a time now where the audience is like booing aggressively. Right. And they're going to boo to the point where they're going to cut him off. Right. I would imagine. I mean, especially this. So like, how do you play off of that? How do you like build from that?
I think one, I kind of think we shouldn't see him in the ring until he's in a match again. I think it should be like pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Like, cause then it forces people to listen. It's more heelish and shitty that he's not there in person. I have other shit, more important things to do. I mean, it's Hollywood rock.
Yeah.
You know, and we kind of go down that path. What could also be interesting is maybe the reason isn't just wanting his 17th title. Maybe the disgust is with Cody himself. Maybe there's something about Cody that leaves a bad taste in John's mouth.
You know what I would actually, if I could, you know, do a little bit of a as you fantasy booking. I will say, I think that there's something really cool here that they could lean into with the fact that Cody didn't want to be the corporate champion. And that the reality is that John Cena is like, hey, you got to do the things that are necessary to be the guy on top, which means I've always played ball. I've always been the guy,
the corporate champion.
And this kind of goes back to what CM Punk was saying in his promo, which, by the way, I definitely have a new appreciation for the CM Punk character coming into Raw that night. I thought that promo that Punk delivered was pipe bomb-esque worthy. It was one that we will remember. I'm fairly certain a lot of those lines were unscripted, but they knew that they were coming, but they were unscripted because he had some heaters in that one. But I think that one of the lines that kind of stuck out to me the most was when CM Punk said, and John Cena, I knew you were this person. I knew you were a snake the entire time. Like he was like, you know, it's like when the bad guy, like when they come around in wrestling and they're always like, I knew it. I knew you were him. I knew it. Right. And it's like the justification in the end, like
we need to get Punk a hat.
Go back. I believe, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but the infamous 2011 feud right before he left with his contract and everything, right? The Chicago match, banger of a match. I kind of want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I know. God, too.
But I think it was the lead up to that, and where another great promo between the two. He's like, John, you purport yourself like never give up, this underdog. You're the man. You're the New York freaking Yankees. You are the franchise. You're the corporate, like you're the poster boy. Like, don't act like you're some guy fighting for the little guy or fighting from underneath or like the underdog. He's like, screw that. You are the blue chip poster child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That everybody's trying to fight against.
He said everything except that he was the GOAT. You know what I mean? And it's like he's admitting that this guy is the guy, you know, and John Cena
maybe
can't
a
admit
little
it.
bit of a corporate, like, and you come out here like a good guy, but you're a little bit of the corporate lapdog.
Yeah, you've told the company line.
Not painted out as vividly for some other people.
And now the picture's as clear as it's ever been. And
the mask fell, as they say, on people who you know what I mean? Maybe there's some of that to it.
Yeah, but I will say, like, go for it, Jake.
Well, I was just going to say, just to you know, add more fuel to the speculative fire, like of trying to figure out why, right? Because that's the question we're all wanting the answer to, is why. So, like, I think there's a lot of options you can do. I mean, maybe it's a case of like John Cena and The Rock being their own version of the Death Riders.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're worthy of actually holding this title. So we're going to hold it because we know that we are, and we're going to hold this title.
They're the Axis powers, you know. It's just like,
maybe it's a situation of Cena doesn't appreciate someone who left WWE and then coming back and being given feels like he's been given this championship. There's all kinds of directions that you can go that I think would be so interesting and so fascinating. But like, this is one of those situations where like we can fantasy book it all we want, but like, I'm just gonna sit and wait to hear what the man himself has to say.
Yeah,
I am. There are storylines where I'm excited to speculate and say, what's the motivation? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? How does it affect it? But like, this one is just like, we just gotta let them cook, because that's been the argument this whole time, right? Is we even talked about it on this show. Is like, does it feel like Mania is kind of well, holy fuck, did we light a powder keg?
Yeah.
Leading up to Mania now.
And there was
40-something days. Oh my God. Now
you
it's
guys
exploded.
said that stuck out to me was the fact that, like, you know, this Mania was missing the oomph, right? And the pivot was unintentional last year, but it was perfect. And this is a manufactured, like, pivot, so to speak. My own, like, again, you know, the only real criticism I had was like the execution in the moment. And also, if I were to give one other small-ish criticism, is that it does feel like the things that Cody went throughout the year may or may not have mattered as much. Now, that being said, I will clarify and say, well, this time, not really. And I think I know where this is going. I think we all kind of see where this is going, right? Because this year did matter. I'm not saying it didn't matter. It's just that I was looking forward to like the Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. Like, I wanted that match. I really wanted to see that match for the belt. I thought that was going to be super sick. Triple threat between the three of them, especially Randy Orton and Cody going at it again in the ring. I thought it was going to be freaking dope. So I was stoked for that. But that's not happening, and I'm okay with it. The thing that I am recognizing with the story is they're very much building up the opposite of what happened to Cody last year, right? Cody went through all this effort and built all these alliances, forged a relationship with Randy and KO and Seth Rollins and Jey Uso, and he'd worked tooth and nail to forge these relationships and these alliances.
And not forget who also came out to help him at last year's Mania was John Cena himself.
Exactly. And I have a feeling that all that is going to play into this. I have a feeling all that's going to play into this, because if there's one thing that I think that they can do to really get people pissed, it's John Cena coming out and telling everyone that the reason why this is happening is because it's this Cody Rhodes' fault for pushing away his friends, for pushing away the people that he cared about, for celebrating over the corpse of his dead friend's body after just winning the title. For
aligning with the one guy everybody wanted.
John Cena showed up. John Cena showed up to stop the guy who Cody just turned around and was like, "No, I'll help you out. Let's go ahead and let's be a tag team and work this out together."
Yeah.
Right. I think that there really is something there. And if they want to pull from that,
I ain't mad at that.
Oh boy. Like just the idea of the juxtaposition of Cody having all the support last year to Cody truly being on his own this year. Because who the fuck is going to stand up to the final boss and the greatest of all time? I think that's a fucking good story. But you know who will stand up to him? You know who will stand up to the final boss and the greatest of all time? And you know who doesn't give a flying rat's ass one way or another, because he knows that regardless, the only way that this sumbitch ends is with him being the mother flipping champion. And this is all leading to this man becoming the world champion and main eventing WrestleMania 42 against John Cena. I think that's where all this is leading toward. And if it does, I am in. I'm so in.
A face Punk versus
a heel Cena, a corporate heel Cena, and the true voice of the voiceless CM Punk. The actual storyline that started this whole thing, ending with these two in the same exact way. I genuinely do believe is where we're heading. Matt?
Small technical flag on the play, and I'm almost saying more for clarification. I don't remember the specifics. John Cena, I believe,
no technical flags.
2020. I think he said 2025 would be his last year wrestling.
I thought so.
I don't think he's going to WrestleMania 42 unless that's addendum or
SummerSlam, maybe
specify. Maybe I don't know. That again, that's a little technical thing. I don't know if he was that specific.
I mean, he is a bad guy now, so bad guys lie.
He could have just lied. You're right. Yeah.
Could have just deceived everyone to like get him on his side to make him believe that this is
let's talk. Like, here's what's also great is like the other things about this. Like, WWE told us how the Elimination Chamber was going to end. Their poster.
Oh yeah.
Their official poster was John Cena, The Rock, and Travis Scott. That was the official poster that they released the day of the show. They told us how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Like there's all like them planning these little things. Now, also the speculation is that Rock's weird counting that we made fun of.
Now we see it too, right?
Yeah, that's a stretch.
That one might be,
It is, but
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but I will say that one is definitely a bit more of a stretch, but I don't,
because what if there is,
he brought it back for that reason, then I'm like, hey, you know what? You took a fuck up and you made it into something valuable. So I'll go ahead and give you the flowers on that one.
I mean, what if there is one more person now? What if there is? And what if they didn't show up until WrestleMania during the match? And it's they're Cena and Cody are there having their fight, and then glass breaks.
Oh, and Stone Cold.
And he's coming down. We think, he's gonna help Cody. No, he stuns Cody. I don't know. Like I don't know if that would happen, but that would be nuts.
I don't think Stone Cold would come back to do that. But God, that would be so wild, though.
He has said, apparently, he's like, well, I know it's in Vegas this year, and if Cody needs an extra set of hands to let me know.
I've often thought if there is, or if they want to just a classic stack the deck story, Triple H. I know he's not wrestling anymore, but he can hit a pedigree.
Right.
Wouldn't be his first time doing what's best for business. And of course, he, the triumphant of Rock, Cena, Triple H, all just like holding weight over the entire company, and particularly Cody Rhodes. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something there. All right. Well, look, we can talk about this until we are, pale in the face and got Got no air left in these lungs.
I'm already pale in the face.
Hey, with the lack of sleep I have, I'm joining you guys. But honestly, what a wild series of events. Kudos to WWE for really going outside of the box, making this one something memorable. I still hold that it does kind of sort of take away a little bit from Jey Uso and Gunther, but you know what? Whatever.
It didn't take much to take away from that, unfortunately.
That is true. Shit happens. Tell you what, though. This takes us to our final topic of discussion, because I think if there's one thing that we're going to take away from this episode is that WWE is taking risks. They're taking risks and they're doing some cool shit. And one of the cool things that they did, well, we have a brand new women's world champion. Yeah, Io Sky is now the new women's world champion. It happened on Monday Night Raw. No one, and I repeat, no one believed for a freaking minute that this would be a possibility. No one assumed, no one thought. There's just no world, because you're talking about Rhea Bloody Ripley, one of the biggest stars in all of professional wrestling, and she drops the title right before WrestleMania to the legend Io Sky. Jake, I want to get your thoughts on this, because this is crazy. This is honestly, like, I don't think anyone would have seen this one coming from a mile away, obviously.
And you know what? I loved it. I loved it because we never do see title changes right before Mania. It always, to me, has felt like,
especially on TV, a TV match.
Yes. That's the other thing too. You're exactly right. Like it always has felt like between Royal Rumble should just go straight to Mania, because it is how it's always felt to me, because they have these pay-per-views. Like, remember, it was Fastlane, it's Elimination Chamber now. And it's always felt like, it's like, what's the point of these matches? We're not like, the champions aren't going to lose. We're already starting these rivalries, but see, that's what's been great, because, and I'm glad that they had Io come out at Elimination Chamber after Bianca won.
Yeah,
because because it lended more that credibility of like, hey, you know, this could happen. But when it did, I was shocked. But in the best way possible. I mean, like,
that's how you hit a double drop.
That's how, exactly, that right there is how you do it. And I loved that. I loved her homage to every member of Damage Control, doing a move for all of them. I thought was great. I thought it was super cool. Like, what a photo that is.
I know.
But it was so good, and I think it's going to lead to some great stuff. It already has, in my opinion. I don't know if you saw. I can't remember where I posted this. I might have just done it in the writers' room in our Discord. But I think Rhea Ripley had the best promo of her life after that match.
Yes,
and it was posted online.
Yep,
where she is realizing her own self-destructive tendencies and how she can be her own worst enemy.
Yeah,
and it feels like we're going toward a DTA Rhea Ripley. You know, don't trust anybody. I've got no friends. It's just me. It's always just going to be me. I can't count on anyone else except myself. I feel like this is going to go to a triple threat. It feels like is the obvious direction that we're going.
And I'm not mad about that. I think that one of the complaints that I had going into Mania this year was that, you know, I don't mind there being matches with multiple people for a belt. I don't think that every match should be that, but I like some matches being that, especially when you have so much talent in your division, like you do in the women's world championship division on Raw. Like you literally have just three of the best freaking wrestlers that are working the ring today, in Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky. And it would have been a damn shame if one of those wrestlers had missed out on like a main event matchup or something to that caliber. So I really do hope it is a triple threat, because I think that it would lead the most. It would make the most sense. It would make it the most interesting. And I wouldn't mind it, because, you know, I would like to see Io win. I would like to see Io like beat Rhea and Bianca in one night. I don't want to see Io lose the belt. I actually think like she is a legitimate like contender every time she comes out to the ring. Every time she does a match since losing the WWE Championship to Bayley and kind of going on the run that she went on for 2024 to 2025. She has just been good. She has been like one of the most entertaining women's wrestlers on the roster, bar none. So I feel like it is about damn time that they gave her flowers and she had a WrestleMania moment where she beats Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair in one night. I think that would be so sick. And then you can figure out where you go from there with the story, because I really do think you're gonna end up with Bianca and Jade down the line. And for the belt, I think would be really fun. But man, I'm so stoked for Io Sky. I'm so happy. Like, that was such a sick ass moment. But Matt, do you think we're going to a triple threat, or do you think, to Jake's point, that this is, this is also just Rhea kind of like realizing, hey, I done fucked up?
And it is. And I agree, Jake. Watch that, seek out that post-match interview. And also, like, where those little credit to I believe it was Jackie Redmond.
It was Jackie.
The way she conducted it was really well. Like, had like believable, like trying to like sympathy, but like still trying to get the question.
It was an exit interview. It was an exit interview for losers, which I've done on like esports events before. Like, I've done exit interviews. They suck. They're not good. And I think like Jackie navigated that really well, given that it's performative still. But it was just like, you're really emphasizing like, oh shit, she lost something that meant a lot to her. Sorry, go on, Matt.
No, but so like that's really good. Which the way it was done, it makes me think like, yeah, she ain't out of the picture. I don't know if it'll be a triple threat. I mean, they could throw somebody else in there, make it a 4-way. I think triple threat would be the most I would want. And I've been one of the first people to say I know how damn good Io Sky is, but I wasn't always sure. I'm like, is she the star power draw that they want or need, kind of thing? Like, because she's not always had the strongest like stage presence as far as like character. She's always just been like, she's a really good wrestler. Had some fun in Damage Control, don't get me wrong, but like as a top tier level on the levels of like Liv and Rhea and Bianca and stuff. But it's clear that they have a lot of faith in her, and she delivers every time they put her in the ring and put her in these matches. So I think this could be a year to just really establish her on top, to add to just another top level woman competitor.
And correct me if I'm
in
wrong.
An already crowded field.
Correct me if I'm wrong. She is the first woman to hold the WWE Women's Championship and now the newly established Women's World Championship. Has there been anyone else that's grabbed that title?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Like, they just, so the Women's World Championship morphed out of the Raw Women's Championship, right? But the Women's World Championship is its own thing. It's not the Raw Championship, right?
Right, but hasn't I mean,
has there been someone else?
What about Rhea?
Regardless, it's still like a cool kind of concept, because she's like the first woman to hold both of those belts.
I think has had both.
Recently?
I mean, she had the world this year, and then she had that WWE. And again, I don't know if it was when it was the SmackDown. The lineages of some of these new ones are weirdly like stop and start. I don't know what you count
from when they've established
continuous.
this belt. She is one. Because remember, like, they established a new title at Mania 40 last year. And then again, it's semantics, but the only reason why I'm mentioning it is kind of like support what you're saying, Matt, in that there's a clear faith that they are putting in her, right? There are these big match moments, like in the women's War Games matchup, where you can clearly tell that like Io Sky was just like coming into that matchup and everyone was like, holy shit, she's going to do something crazy. And everyone was like totally into it. And it kind of just felt like it built momentum from there. And then now she's just like, the crowd lost their minds. And I think too, the crowd lost their minds because we just got a title change on the road to WrestleMania on an episode of Monday Night Raw, which we haven't had that in God knows how long. So there was just a lot of that, that I think a lot of that excitement. Where this goes, anyone's ball game, baby.
Yeah.
Anyone's ball game.
More wide open story potential.
Jake, you have a look of concern on your face that I can't seem to.
I'm trying to figure out if it's bothering me now if anyone has held both.
Well, if you want to look at the lineage,
if you look at the
are,
lineage is the SmackDown women's title.
Yeah.
And this one is also the Raw. It's the same thing. Yeah, this is the SmackDown women.
So
it's been around since
we're basically just substituting it and saying that the Raw women's title lineage is the women's world championship lineage, which probably is a smarter thing to do. But it's also weird because it's like you can't say.
Well, according to this, it was the SmackDown's women's championship that was then changed to women's world championship, which is now on Raw.
Oh, that's not confusing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
because the first person to hold that title was Becky Lynch.
Yes.
In 2016, September of 2016. But since it changed over,
he established a belt and then
they flip-flopped.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't really matter as much, but I think what does matter ultimately is that they believed in her. They believed in her to give her the belt right now. And now this is feeding into a much bigger storyline that is this Jade Cargill, Naomi, Bianca storyline. Because look, Bianca's out here. Look at these pictures. Look at these pictures of Bianca. She's just vibing. She's vibing on. She's causing problems. She's out here just chilling. I think Bianca's in her villain arc right now. Her villain era.
Well, see, that's what's interesting to me is if this becomes a triple threat. As it stands right now, you got 3 faces in the title match.
Yeah, and Bianca's the perfect one to be the bad guy in this one. And Rhea can kind of her ambition can be used against her. And here's Io who's just like, "Hey guys, here I am, just one of the best wrestlers ever. I'm just gonna chill and I'm just gonna win this match. And you guys can go ahead and fight over on the corner. Oh, Jade, you're here to attack Bianca? For shame. What a
These
tragedy."
Are terrible impressions. These are terrible impressions.
Oh man, guys, how exciting is this though?
It's great.
It really is.
And I think how this, we haven't even touched on it because I mean we don't really know much more. But how this Jade, Naomi, also Bianca thing shakes out over the next month too.
It's gonna be sick.
I think it's gonna play a lot into that.
Yeah, it's gonna be so sick. We're excited. We hope you guys are excited as well, because there's no reason not to be as a wrestling fan. This is just genuinely some fun stuff, and it's just
the best.
It's just fun to
It makes me want to go door to door with pamphlets and be like, "Can I tell you about the good word of professional wrestling?"
Yeah.
Do you have a moment where I could sit and talk to you?
I'm down to be like I've been watching the show. Oh my gosh. It just popped up in my head, and now it was the Apple show with Lee Pace. Oh my god, it's so good, and I'm drawing a blank on it. But I'm gonna find it right now. But basically, it's a show about like lineage and like history and all this stuff. Foundation. That's the name of the show. Foundation. Fucking love that show. It's so good. And in that show, right, they establish the legend and religion of Harry Seldon. Because it like happens over the course of like centuries. And I just want to imagine us just like starting the Church of Professional Wrestling. And then like, let's see how that can move forward.
First Church of the Squared Circle.
For the Church of the Squared Circle. And then we see how, let's see what we could do. Let's see if we can like get some converts, figure something out. I don't know. Sure. I'm in. But boy, oh boy, what a great time to enjoy just professional wrestling. Right. So yeah, and by the way, and I want to be very clear.
What do you say instead of Hail Marys?
Hail Marys, it would be
Hail Mavens.
Hail Mavens. Hail Maven. But I also want to say, and we say this all the time, and I think it's just important to note here again, is that it's not just WWE that's killing it.
Yeah.
It is truly professional wrestling across the freaking board right now is so good that. And we say it a lot, and there have been dips and there have been some rises, but if there's one thing, it's like you can always turn to professional wrestling to give you, make you feel good, have a good time. Speaking of having a good time, making you feel good, that takes us to everyone's favorite segment of the week. Of course, I'm talking about the Rebooked 24/7 champion of the week. I don't have the audio right now, I apologize. I changed out to my Go XLR to a Beacon Studio. For those nerds out there who know what I'm talking about, you got to change everything over. This, of course, is our celebration of everything in professional wrestling and outside of it. Doesn't matter. That brings you the most joy. That made you smile this week. I would like to go first, if
Sure.
you guys don't mind, because for me, my Rebooked 24/7 champion is going to go to a particular individual, one Harley Cameron, who on AEW Collision this past week,
I saw this.
did the funniest thing and has finally named her finishing move. And folks, her finishing move is called Harley Cameron's finishing move. And it's so good. And then Tony Schiavone, she's like, I noticed you didn't say my finishing move on TV last week. And then he was like, well, because I didn't know the name. And she was like, that's why. It's now called Harley Cameron's finishing move. Brilliant. Just silliness. Harley Cameron's a gem. I'm a big fan of hers. So yeah, she is my Rebooked 24/7 champion of the week. Harley Cameron's new move, Harley Cameron's finishing move. Who wants to go next?
Okay. Go ahead, Jake.
I'll go next. After the events of this week, I'm inspired. And maybe not in the best way.
Oh, that's dangerous. And
I think what I'm going to do, I know they, this isn't something that, they announce when they do it, but I think I'm going to turn heel here.
Oh,
because, this is the 24/7 champion, which does have a lineage. A lineage of the hardcore title. And there's one person I think I'm going to give my 24/7 championship to, who can hold it along with his hardcore title. It's the one and only Cactus Jack himself, Travis Scott. That's who's my 24/7.
I knew you were going to do it
because you're talking about it, GB. Everybody's talking about it.
Sure.
And they say in wrestling, it doesn't matter if you get a good reaction or a bad reaction. You just got to get a reaction. And Travis Scott has done it. So this is me turning heel on GB in particular. I'm giving it to Cactus Jack. That's right, the Cactus Jack. That's the most heelish thing about it. The one and only Cactus Jack, Travis Scott.
Oh, you are disgusting. You are a nasty man. You are a nasty little man.
Hey, I've been called a lot of things in my life, and little is not one of them.
Oh, man. I got to admit, though, the hardcore belt looks nice. It is a cool thing.
It's cool. It's like a hardcore world title.
They took the Raw belt and basically just made it look like shit. Then I can appreciate that. Matt, who you got?
Okay. Well, in speaking of small, disgusting men and horrible things, I'm going to kind of hijack this segment. Because I don't have a champ of the week. No. I have a 24/7 chump of the week.
Oh.
Somebody who reviled my blood and boiled my blood so much this week. I almost don't have words. I almost don't.
Oh my God.
And look, as much love and respect as I have, and we've lauded over this man over the course of this show and this episode in particular, CM Punk had to go on a tirade on multiple times on Monday Night Raw in what was otherwise an excellent promo and call out bald Dwayne Johnson, bald John Cena, bald frauds. He mentioned the word bald an inordinate number of times when insulting The Rock
in a derogatory manner.
This is true.
Very derogatory.
Very derogatory.
Like, he kept going back to it, which to GB's point earlier, like, yeah, I think there was a lot that was unscripted. I think he was just rolling with it. But a true creative promo man should not repeat unless purposefully certain lines like that. And I think that was the only insult he could come up with. So screw you. Bald is beautiful.
That's right.
Punk, you need to learn. You need to learn some tolerance. You need to learn some respect for my bald brethren.
That's right.
And, know your role. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Just because we're follically challenged doesn't mean that you can speak to us that way. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not fair. It's not right.
Felt attacked.
I felt offended. Who are we giving it to, guys? Who are we giving it to?
Travis Scott.
No, fuck that. I refuse. I will give it to CM Punk or Harley Cameron. Or CM Punk's lack of originality or Harley Cameron.
He's the chump of the week.
Yeah, exactly. I refuse. So you guys can give it to whoever you want, but I will not give it to Travis Scott. But if the majority consensus is Travis Scott, then that is what we would do. You know what? I tell you what. Let's just leave it to the community. You guys can go.
Yeah, you let us know.
If you made it this far, in the episode, let us know who you think is a 24/7 champion of the week. Is it Harley Cameron and her new move? Harley Cameron's the finishing move. Is it Travis Scott for being there and present at a moment in history that we just cannot forget? Or is it CM Punk for his lack of originality and attacking us who are follically challenged? Let us know in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, and by the way, you're probably noticing that we went a whole episode and did not talk about AEW because we decided to reverse it this week. Our AEW episode will be dropping on Friday, where we will be talking about the build-up to, drumroll please, AEW Revolution. It is looking to be one of AEW's best shows of the year. Jake and I are going to be present watching it live. I debated I might go shirtless. I'm not too sure. Jury's out on it.
I will not.
He will not, but you never know. People sometimes.
No, I won't.
Hey. Not enough drugs in you yet. Not enough alcohol in you yet. No, you never know what's going to happen. But no, seriously, it's going to be a sick show. So we're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to be going through the entirety of the card and talking about the storylines that lead up to these matches and what we should be expecting moving forward. So you don't want to miss it. That is going to be our Friday show. And we will see you guys then. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Words cannot express how much this show means to me and this time of need right now. So hopefully you guys feel the same way. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. We'll see you Friday. Peace. Later.